Look, I would normally make a joke here, but I already recorded this freaking script twice already, and both times the audio failed to save. So just pretend I put a well-thought joke in here, and we're just gonna get into it, okay? Okay. Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your BFF Snowy Oreo 663 here, right now. Mulan, one of the most praised Disney princesses for her roles in feminism, a fierce warrior no one should dare cross, and star of yet another trash live-action remake. Side note, you know you did your main hero bad when I feel like Ariel could do more damage than her. Sorry, off topic, I tend to do that when I think of these stupid-ass live-action remakes I just can't freaking stand. From what I remember, Mulan is my favorite princess, but that doesn't mean that she's the best princess. We have to watch the movie to find that out. So, let's get into it. We open with some traditional Chinese line work, which then fades into the Great Wall of China. On the wall, a guard begins to patrol when a hawk comes flying by to startle him. This hawk is named, Hayabusa? Nah, I'm just gonna call it the hawk. No, not you, Hawkeye. Go be a disappointment somewhere else. Why does no one like me? The guard finds an attack as being launched by the Huns, and he goes to light up the warning light. Shan Yu, the leader of the Huns, arrives, but the guard is able to light the beacon in time.
The beacons are lit, city! The beacons are lit! Gun knuckles parade!
The general comes to inform the emperor of the attack, and the emperor demands that he use his troops to protect the people. We meet 15-year-old Mulan, who is writing on her arm some notes she'll use later that day. She has this weird scene where she calls out for little brother, and it's just a dog. I honestly don't get this joke, someone please enlighten me. The dog helps her with her chores as her father, Fa Zhu, prays to the ancestors for Mulan's success with the matchmaker, since Mulan is already late for the arrival. While waiting for her daughter, Mulan's mother and grandmother discuss the ancestors. Grandma has just purchased a lucky cricket and decides to test its luck by walking out into the street with her eyes closed. It ends just as well as you'd expect. Mulan shows up and... okay. Much like we had a leaf count in Pocahontas, this will be the horse count. There is this one freaking sound effect that every company ever uses for their goddamn horses. I was watching Game of Thrones and I had a stroke just about every episode from that stupid sound effect being used over and over. I'll just get all the count right now. Once you hear that sound effect and recognize it, you will never watch a movie comfortably again. I hate it! The song Honor to Us All begins, where Mulan is dressed in her bride attire. She gets a new hairdo, a pretty dress, and intensive makeup. The song is very upbeat and catchy, but the lyrics, oh my god. I won't use a clip because I'll get a copy strike, but here are some examples. Men want girls with good taste, calm, obedient, who work fast-paced. With good breeding and a tiny waist, you'll bring honor to us all. We all must serve our emperor who guards us from the Huns. A man by bearing arms, a girl by bearing sons. Like, what? Then we meet the matchmaker, where...
Fa Mulan.
Yep, meme lady herself. During the interview, the matchmaker nearly catches Mulan reading her notes, and while the cricket escapes its cage, the matchmaker gets some paint on her hand from the ink. She draws on her face and tries to drink some tea with the cricket in it, only for Mulan to interfere, sending the matchmaker into some hot coals. Mulan puts out the fire, only to be told that she will never bring her family honor. At home, Mulan sings her main song, Reflection. It's a beautiful number where she talks about her reflection being someone she doesn't know. No.
Wow, okay.
No.
That doesn't come off quite like that.
And there's nothing on her sleeve. While sitting underneath a beautiful tree, Fa Zhu tells Mulan that one of the blossoms is late to bloom. But when it does, it will be the most beautiful of all. What? A caring father figure? Fa Zhu, welcome to the caring and attentive father figures of Disney princesses. Who are alive! Their talk is stopped by the Emperor's council, Chief Fu, showing up to tell the citizens about the Han invasion.
One man from every family must serve in the Imperial Army.
Fa Zhu has already served in the army, but he is ready to serve yet again. However, Mulan steps in to beg for reconsideration, only to get shut down by sexism. Fa Zhu practices with his sword, only to fall victim to his previous injuries while Mulan watches in the distance. At dinner, Mulan explodes in anger.
But if you-
I know my place. It is time you learned yours.
Damn it. Mulan hides outside in the rain, watching her family fall into grief when she gets an idea. First, she prays to her ancestors, then steals her father's notice and sword while he sleeps. In a swipe, she cuts her hair and takes her father's armor, then retrieves her horse named Khan and rides off to the army. Grandma awakens everyone else to tell them of Mulan's disappearance, then prays to the ancestors to keep her safe. This lead ancestor has no name, but it's a hassle to keep calling him Great Ancestor. So I'll call him, let's see here. Steve. We're gonna go with Steve. Steve awakens Mushu, this little dragon played by Eddie Murphy. While Mushu isn't as funny as the genie, there's a similarity in the performance, while there's many quips and jokes that I can't mention them all here. So I'll put in clips where they're needed. Mushu was apparently demoted from his place as guardian, and his job is now to wake up the other ancestors. These guys argue about Mulan for a while, make a visual joke here and there, and add a line that nearly got this movie a PG rating.
Your great-granddaughter had to be a cross-dresser!
And yes, I meant that. This movie is rated lower than Frozen. Fucking Frozen! They made a foot-size joke and that got it a PG rating, what the fuck? During the argument, Steve tells Mushu to awaken the Great Stone Dragon to bring back Mulan, since Mushu would be incapable of the task due to his failure to save Headless Mcgee over here. Mushu bangs the gong, but the dragon doesn't wake up. He ends up breaking the statue and lies to Steve about the mistake.
That's just great. Now what? I'm doomed. And all cause Miss Man decides to take a little drag show on the road.
With the help of the lucky cricket named Cricky, Mushu heads off to make Mulan a war hero, thinking it will get him his job back. Meanwhile, Shan Yu and his army ride to find some Imperial scouts watching them. Shan Yu has a certain musical theme that plays whenever he's on screen, and I gotta admit, his music and design and voice actually make him very intimidating. The musical themes always reminded me of the movie Peter and the Wolf. In that film, there's no actual spoken dialogue, and every emotion is carried by the music. Every time the wolf is on screen, the music comes out of nowhere and is very abrupt, and it reminds me a lot of Shan Yu's music. I will say that this scene is super dark. Shan Yu tells the scouts to inform their emperor to send his strongest armies to fight. Then...
How many men does it take to deliver a message?
One.
Mulan is practicing her boy talk when Mushu arrives. He tells her that if she is discovered, the penalty is death. There's a handful of good jokes in this sequence, like how he thinks that Khan is a cow instead of a horse. And of course, you've already heard it. I know.
Dishonor on you? Dishonor on your cow?
Mushu tries giving Mulan advice, only to make her stick out like a sore thumb. We meet some of the recruits, like the tough Yao, the beanpole Ling, and the gentle Chan Po. However, Mushu insults the man, causing a fight to break out. During the chase, this entire cauldron of rice for the soldiers gets knocked over. Inside a tent, the general talks to his son, Li Shang, about his plans to stop the Huns at the Tongshao Pass. He gives Shang the task of training the new recruits, ignoring the protests of Chi Fu. The general tells Chi Fu that he expects a report of the soldiers' progress in 3 weeks, then steps out to see what his son's army looks like.
What?
The soldiers rat out Mulan as the instigator, where Shang asks her name. With Mushu's help, she makes her alias, Ping. Shang commands the army to clean up every single grain of rice, which displeases the men. The next morning, in her sad excuse for a tent, Mushu wakes up her heroine to feed her some breakfast. She realizes that she woke up late and rushes off to join with the army. The men all despise her, but line up when Captain Shang arrives. He takes off his shirt to the surprise of Mulan, and, she likey. Shang shoots an arrow to the top of a pole, telling Yao to retrieve it.
I'll get that arrow, pretty boy, and I'll do it with my shirt on.
Before that, Shang ties 2 weights to Yao's wrists, telling him that they represent strength and discipline. The recruits all try and fail to reach the arrow, only for Shang to start the song, "I'll Make a Man Out of You." This is a hell of a song to work out to. The number shows the other recruits bully Mulan and how they all fail to learn the tasks Shang teaches. While Mushu tries to help her out, Mulan still has trouble fitting in or succeeding. However, after Shang tells her she's not cut out for war and to go home, she gets the idea to try to reach the arrow yet again. Using her smarts, she ties the weights together to help her pull up to reach it, and the song ends with the recruits respecting her and all of them completing their training. Shan Yu has been progressing forward, bringing his cool theme music and a doll to his men. He tells the Huns that the doll came from a village by the Tongshao Pass, and that the Imperial army is waiting there, the general being the leader. Despite his archer telling him that there's another way around, Shan Yu says that the quickest way to the Emperor is through that pass, and they begin their trek. Back at camp, Mulan decides to risk taking a bath in the lake, only for her 3 soldier friends to jump in too. They all try to reconcile with her, while Mulan hides her eyes from the naked men around her. Mushu jumps in and bites Ling on the ass so Mulan can escape.
I never want to see a naked man again.
While heading back, Chifu tells Shang that his troops aren't ready for battle. Mulan tells Shang that he's a great captain, getting Mushu to realize that Mulan has a crush on Shang. After sending her to her tent, Mushu and Cricky sneak into Chifu's tent to make a typewriter joke and write a fake letter from the general. Mushu and Cricky ride a panda and make a soldier from hay and armor to deliver the letter to Chifu. On the long walk to the Tungshao Pass, the army begins to sing A Girl Worth Fighting For. We learn that Ling values beauty, Yao values validation, and Chanpo wants a wife to cook for him. The song comes to a literal abrupt halt when they arrive at the Tungshao Pass, seeing the burned down buildings and massacred Imperial army. Yeah, those are bodies in a kids movie. Holy shit. And it's still rated lower than Frozen! Chanpo brings Shang his father's helmet, leading to a pretty emotional scene as the stone-faced and strong captain makes a memorial for his father and hesitates before getting back on his horse due to the pain. He tells his men that they are the only hope for the Emperor. Mulan places the doll next to the memorial, and they move out. While walking, Mushu sets off a cannon that gives away the army's position, leading to a wall of arrows raining down on the soldiers. Some are ablaze, leading Mulan to cut Khan free of the carriage and the soldiers scrambling to save the cannons. They let their cannons loose on the archers, seemingly taking them all out with one cannon to spare. As the smoke clears, Shan Yu shows off his army to Shang, spelling out certain death. These sweeping shots are absolutely incredible, as Shang tells Yao to aim his cannon at Shan Yu. Mulan gets an idea, stealing the cannon from Yao and running out into the field of battle with Mushu. She uses his fire to send the cannon into the snow-covered mountains, causing an avalanche. Shan Yu swipes at her with his sword, but she manages to run off with Shang to find cover. Mushu finds Cricky and Mulan, while Yao shoots an arrow for her to grab, but he's an idiot. When they go off the edge of the cliff, Mulan shoots the arrow back, having Chanpo pull them up. What kind of frickin' muscles does Mulan have in her legs to hold up that horse? God damn. And if you're telling me, oh, she might have tied the rope around the horse, what kind of rope is that to hold up a freaking horse, 2 people, a tiny dragon, and a cricket? God damn. Shang says that he gives Ping his trust, to which Mulan reveals her wound. Shang calls for a medic, which, imagine the medic's face when he took off her armor to clean her up. God. Shang finds out the truth, and Chifu insults her in front of her fellow soldiers. Shang can't bring himself to kill her, but he says that the two are now even for saving each other's lives. He tells his army to move out, leaving Mulan with her animal friends. Mushu tries to cheer her up, and Mulan says that how she joined the army not just to save her father, but to prove that she was something worthwhile. Mushu comes clean about the ancestors not sending him, and Cricky reveals that he's not actually a lucky cricket.
What? What do you mean you're not lucky?
You lied to me?
And what are you, a sheep? Ugh.
They agree to all head home together when Mulan hears a noise. Shan Yu and some of his Huns survive the avalanche and begin heading to the city. Mulan decides to go to the Imperial City to warn Shang and the Emperor. Okay, I've been quiet about this the whole time, but is there like 10 people in this army? It constantly changes. Like, look here when they're going through the parade. Okay, now look at when they're hiding from the snow, and then when they're making their trek, when they're going through the snow, when they're at the Tungshao Pass. Like, what the fuck? Anyway, Shang tells Mulan to f*** off, refusing to listen to her warning. She tells her soldier friends, and she tries to warn some local citizens, only to be given the cold shoulder. The Emperor comes to speak, and Shang offers him Shan Yu's sword. Before he can take it, the hawk swoops in and steals it, dropping the weapon into Shan Yu's hand. I'll admit, that's a cool reveal. The other Huns leap out of the dragon costume and take the Emperor into the palace, leaving the army to attempt to break down the door to get inside. Mulan gets another idea, a really stupid and corny and cheesy idea, I'll admit, having her soldier friends dress up as girls to climb up the palace, Shang joining soon after. While Shan Yu tries to get the Emperor to bow to him, Mulan and company pretend to be concubines, getting close enough to the Huns to attack and knock out their guards. As the hawk tries to come in and help, Mushu fries the f***er, making great Mongolian barbecue. While Shan Yu tries to kill the Emperor, Shang comes in and the Emperor just walks away. Oh my god, I think he's my favorite character, I love him. Chanpo grabs the royal figure and slides down a rope, with Ling and Yao following. Mulan cuts the rope to stay and save Shang, revealing her alias to Shan Yu. He chases after her, and she gives the bird-riding Mushu instructions to grab some fireworks. Mulan is quick at avoiding attacks, climbing up onto the roof to get into position. Mushu scares some guys so much that they jump to their deaths, oh god, and meets her on the roof. Shan Yu arrives as well, not being able to outsmart the clever Mulan. She uses her fan to disarm him and gets him to the ground, locking him in place with his own sword as Mushu sends a firework into the villain.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
While the sexist Chi-Fu still doesn't believe in Mulan's competence, the Emperor arrives, chewing into the girl with everything she's done wrong. However, he then states how she saved everyone, and bows to her, as well as getting all the citizens to bow as well. The Emperor offers her Chi-Fu's job, but she declines, saying that she needs to go home. He instead gives her his necklace and Shan Yu's sword, with Mulan giving him a hug and thanks. She says goodbye to her soldier friends, and Shang does a bad job at flirting.
You fight good.
She rides home, and the Emperor tells Shang to go get her, damn it. At home, Mulan presents the Emperor's gifts to her father, only for him to toss them aside.
The greatest gift and honor is having you for a daughter.
Mother and Grandma show up, with Grandma complaining that Mulan should have brought home a man. Shang shows up, leading to Grandma's best line.
Woo! Sign me up for the next war.
Shang once again is terrible at flirting, and Mulan asks if he wants to stay for dinner. Meanwhile, Steve watches from afar and reluctantly gives Mushu his job back. This leads to a pop song for the outro, and a happy ending.
Mushu!
Well then, this movie's got a lot to talk about. Let's start by putting it in its place. Here's Heading To. Category 1, Best Princess. Yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for in a role model for children. Mulan doesn't come from a very high background and is regarded as less due to her gender. While it's not her dream, she still tries her best to keep her family proud, and this was the norm for back then. When she chooses to go out to the army, she not only goes to protect the ones she loves, but she also does it to prove that she's worth something. Mulan isn't gifted with any special skills in battle other than her own mind. In fact, she's at a disadvantage due to her age and just how the female body is built. Mushu tries to help her, but she ends up learning the skills just like everyone else. Her brain helps her get through tough situations. She's kind, smart, brave, and the savior of China, single-handedly taking out an entire army. This is what I think Disney princesses should be. In fact, the Disney princess canon changed its rules to allow Mulan into the club, as she's the only princess who wasn't born or married into royalty. Mulan, the true princess of heart and brain. Category 2, Best Love Interest. Captain Li Shang. He takes his shirt off. This one is kind of a mixed bag, due mostly to the fact that he sees Mulan as Ping, and on top of that, he's her boss, restricting him from showing his true self to Mulan or the audience. From the few times he acts like himself, we can see that he's a little awkward and wants to succeed to please his family. He can be sensitive, although he's good at hiding it. He's very skilled in battle and not afraid to die for the right cause. While Shang vanishes for some of the final battle, that's a new one, he's still ready to jump into action. His major downfall is his treatment of Mulan after finding her identity. I get it, he's hurt and feels betrayed, but damn, she's telling him the Huns are alive, listen to her! So where does he fit? Because his temper isn't part of his personality, he's above the beast, but because he isn't kind as Eric, he'll sit at number 4. Category 3, Best Side Characters. You know, it's hard to judge all of these characters into one lump. We've got the animals, like Kriki, Khan, Mushu. Mushu is either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, depending on who you talk to. I personally think he's pretty good. He gets a laugh sometimes. Mulan's family is a gem, since they're pretty involved and both parents are actually alive. Grandma's funny, and Fa Zhu is the second best father figure we've gotten so far. The soldiers are great, able to get plenty of laughs and still dive into emotional beats. I like how they go from hating Mulan to being her loyal friends. My only wish is to get to see more of them. Not in a sequel! The Emperor is my favorite side character, and he's the best leader we've had so far. The ancestors don't make much of a difference to me. Throwing them all together, I'd say they sit at number 3, despite my love of the 7 dwarves screaming at me. Category 4, Best Villain. I honestly don't get it. Shan Yu is scary as hell, he feels real, his design is spectacular, his theme music is intense, and his voice is great, but he's not very memorable. Out of all the amazing villains Disney has given us, he doesn't stick out. I remember Ratcliffe more than this guy. I can't put my finger on it why I don't like him. Maybe because he's one giant cliche, saying lines we've heard a million times over. If he sung or something, he could stick out, but no, nothing. The Huns are scary, although still not memorable. The Falcon, not Hawk, past Snow, is a nice touch. Lastly, I added Chi-Fu to this category. If I counted the guards in Aladdin, I might as well. Chi-Fu doesn't change his ways, resulting in him being a villain. He gets some laughs, and I honestly enjoyed him as a despicable coward character. This slots at number 7. Category 5, Best Princess Song. Reflection is the shortest song so far, but it sure is memorable. The message can hit pretty close to home for a lot of people today, and you understand Mulan's struggle. While the issue that led to the song is kinda dumb, I personally would have liked to see her try her best and the matchmaker throw her out due to her being different. But I can only judge on what we have. We get a deeper dive into Mulan's personality than Belle's song, but it's not as pretty as Colors of the Wind, so it'll be at number 3. Category 6, Best Villain Song. While I've gawked at Shan Yu's theme music, to be a musical number, there has to be lyrics. This one stays blank. Category 7, Best Side Character Song. This was one of my favorites as a kid. I remember watching it with my niece and writing down the lyrics so we could sing along with it on the TV. A training montage automatically gets it some points. The fact that it shows Mulan has to make her own way is amazing, allowing her to become a warrior fairly. The colors are pretty, and I've gone jogging to this tune before. It makes you want to get up and fight. I have to put it at number 3. Category 8, Best Believable Romance. Ignoring this piece of shit of a sequel, Mulan and Shang are different from the other romances. They're the only ones to never kiss, and they don't even declare a happily ever after with one another. From the stay for dinner part, they try to start dating. It's hard to judge a romance just on light flirting alone, plus he's kind of a dick to her before the Huns invade a second time. It's also a matter of him not knowing she was a girl for most of the time they spent together. I have to put them at number 5, although there's a million miles between them and number 6. Category 9, Best Animation. I love the stylistic approach they took with this film. From the swirling clouds to the watercolors, it truly feels like an appreciation of Chinese art. They also improved with their CG, with these Huns being completely CG figures in these sweeping shots. Mulan is very expressive, as well as her soldier friends. The animation on the avalanche in Imperial City is breathtaking, with these fireworks being a beautiful blend of color. The characters aren't as scratchy as Beauty and the Beast, but the colors don't pop as much as Pocahontas. This will go at number 2. Category 10, Best Movie. The biggest downfall to this film is the tone. One second you'd be looking at a massacred army in a burned down village, then the next 3 male soldiers are dressed up as girls and are flirting with the villains. However, I can commend a film for showing such a dark thing like war to children. Mulan is a hero anyone can get behind, and it's a princess film that boys can watch and enjoy too. Beautiful animation, memorable characters, a great message, and a heroine with a million reasons to like. This film sits at number 3. Hey guys, thanks for coming to the review. I currently am recording this with my phone on the top of my computer because my Razer camera just stopped focusing, so we'll figure that out. I'm mostly doing this live action outro because I didn't feel like putting my face in everywhere, and also I want to show off my brand new Ariel mug. Isn't it great? Next month we're heading into The Princess and the Frog, ready for some voodoo magic and some frogs. Hope to see you all there, and now it's time for a Retro Future Dirty, aka my outro song, sped up. Adios!